right, so as the EVs and charging infrastructure proliferate, isn't it become a big problem when a row of passenger cars are all filled up in a parking lot, or a fleet of vehicles or at a service depot, all getting to full charging capacity, but maybe they don't start their first run until 7:30 the next morning? Well, what if you could aggregate the power in all of those vehicles, vehicle batteries together, and deliver power back to the grid at times of high demand, perhaps even between that 4 to 9 peak demand period in the evening? Well, that's just what the Nuvve team has been doing for several years now, already on 5 continents. So here to tell us about Nuvve is Ted Smith, their COO.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for having me. We are a software and service company, and we are using our proprietary Vehicle-to-Grid technology to integrate vehicles into the grid. This is our first client. They are a utility client in Denmark. They have this fleet of electric vans. The guys come in the morning, they go do their runs, they come back. At the end of the day, they plug into the charging stations, and when they do that, we aggregate the batteries into a virtual power plant to provide services to the grid bidirectionally. In this use case, we're focusing on just one service. It's a high-value service called frequency response, and we're providing a cash flow on those vehicles of about $2,000 per vehicle per year. Those cash flows continue to increase because the volatility of the grid continues to increase. You can see how that lowers total cost of ownership. You can see how that also can provide a great return and value to the asset owners. We've talked about the problem. Actually, we're seeing increased electrification of transportation, and what that does is it produces tremendous volatility into the grid, especially when you're overlaying intermittent resources like wind and solar. However, you can use those vehicles to provide services, balancing services to the grid, and lower the volatility, which is what we do. We see a sizable market opportunity with transportation services, behind-the-meter services, and grid services. Essentially, as I described, you plug your car in, we charge the battery, we make sure that the fleet owner has the charge on the vehicles when they need it. We use the vehicle for either savings or ancillary service revenue. And then when the vehicles are needed for the intended purpose of transportation, then they're able to utilize the vehicles. We can do this because we have an aggregation platform that has 3 major components to it. It has an optimization engine that optimizes and overlays the needs of the grid onto the fleet of the vehicles while it receives signals in real time from the grid in terms of what the vehicles should be doing for the grid to stabilize it. Again, we're integrating across transportation services, energy services, as well as protecting vehicle batteries. We work with OEMs to know what the needs of the batteries are, where the safe zones are, and make sure that the batteries remain protected. This is active management of batteries, which protects the batteries in the end. We are headquartered here in San Diego. We have offices worldwide, 33 employees strong, operating on 5 continents now. We've been doing commercial operations in Europe for years. We actually have a joint venture with one of our investors, which is EDF, a large utility in France, where we're commercializing our technology in Europe in scale, as well as Toyota Tsusho, which is an arm of the Toyota Motors Group. We do believe we have a pretty good competitive advantage in the field, managing highly distributed assets with strong agility. These are unreliable assets that can be plugged and unplugged at any time. We're doing it with high resolution at kilowatt or even sub-kilowatt scale. Proven scalability, we've actually managed tens of thousands of assets in instances, and these are all at the end of the distribution system. We also have a very strong IP position. And an overview of the model, we do profile our customers. They pay us a transportation fee. We provide them a charge when they need it, infrastructure, 24/7 support. We do get payments for market participation, as I described. We can use those payments to pay for infrastructure, pay for the actual energy, and for our own operation as well. We do have a strong team, a lot of experience. The founders, Gregory Pallon and Willett Kempton, are with us still today. Willett actually is from the University of Delaware. He began to work on this technology back in 1996. I don't know what you were doing in 1996, but I wasn't thinking of this. And this team is managing a commercialization pipeline globally, which is very exciting. One of the most interesting and I think important projects that we've been working on is right here at UCSD. We actually have assets here, charging stations and vehicles, and we've been conducting that. We're in the second year of a three-year project. One last thing, you'll probably hear about school buses. Here in the United States, this is what Vehicle-to-Grid is going to look like. This and the kids inside. We are gearing up for a Series B investment because we have a global plan to execute on our first mover advantage. Thanks a lot.